Love, sacrifice, and trust, but is it enough to withstand an unimaginable truth? A husband who gave everything for his wife, while she secretly had an affair with another man. And when he found out, everything changed. A tale full of pain and betrayal, but can the truth bring him peace? Before continuing the story, tell me which city you're watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. I'm a 32 male, married to my ex-wife, Emily, 30 female for 2 years. Emily and I were lovebirds, and even as I share this story, it still surprises me that Emily cheated on me after all we've been through together. Emily and I were not strangers when we started dating. As children, we grew up in the same neighborhood and were very familiar with each other. Sadly, when I was 15 or so, her parents moved to a new house and we lost contact. Many years later, coincidentally, we bumped into each other as adults. Even as a child who didn't know so much about love, I knew I was crushing on Emily. And when we bumped into each other as an adult, the fire rekindled. We spoke for some time and exchanged our contacts. Luckily, Emily was single at the time, and after hanging out for weeks, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and she said yes. We dated for a year before getting married. I know this might sound simple, but I knew I loved Emily and felt complete when we married. Many things had changed about her, but she was still the intelligent, witty, and energetic Emily I knew when we were children. She became a teacher for junior high school while I worked in an automobile shop as a mechanic. Between Emily and I, Emily was the most intelligent, and she had a thing for smart people. Personally, I loved everyone I met. I wasn't particularly looking for intelligent people like Emily did, which was the major difference between us. When we were catching up and hanging out, I used to feel like I was out of her league. But after I got to know her better, and we fell deeply in love with each other, I got more secure. But I always put an extra effort to keep her happy. Our marriage was fun, sweet, and full of laughter. She made being married so much fun and peaceful. We barely fought or argued about things. When we were dating, Emily told me that she hated being yelled at, so she made me promise that I would never yell at her, no matter how angry I was. I promised her I wouldn't raise my voice at her for any reason, and she did the same. So if we were having an argument, it would sound like a very intense conversation, but no voices raised. Regarding our opinions on children, Emily and I belonged to the same school of thought. We didn't think it was important to wait years before having children. To me, doing that did not make sense. I preferred to have a child a year or two after marriage, so our child would grow with us as we grew older and not wait to have my first child in old age. So immediately after we married, we started trying to get pregnant. There were times Emily would miss her period and she would think she'd gotten pregnant, only for her period to come the next day. Aside from that, in the first year of our marriage, she got pregnant once, but she miscarried after a month and we lost the baby. This was a very emotional moment for us because we had been waiting for months to get pregnant. And after she successfully got pregnant, we lost it. After she lost her first pregnancy, we took a break for a while before we tried again. And unfortunately, the same thing happened. She had another miscarriage at the 5th week. The second time she miscarried, she woke up one morning and noticed she was bleeding heavily. When I took her to the hospital, it was confirmed that she miscarried. This took its mental toll on us, and for months we could not even talk about getting pregnant again. I tried my best to support her during that season and to be strong for us. After a while, we forgot about everything and moved on. I knew she was going through a lot emotionally, so I decided I wouldn't mention anything related to having a child until she was completely over her last 2 miscarriages. Our marriage bounced back from the few months of pain, and things returned to normal. Even after things were okay, I treated Emily like a queen and did everything she wanted. Aside from going to school to teach the kids, she didn't do anything else at home. I took care of the cooking for months, cleaned our house, did the laundry, mowed our lawns, shopped for groceries, and even cooked special meals for her on some days. I was very particular about how I made her feel because she thought something was wrong with her and she was bad luck. I knew she said them because of the miscarriages. At the time, my sole purpose was to assure her that there was absolutely nothing wrong with her. So I showered her with love and attention. About 4 months after we lost the second pregnancy, I was trying to clean up the house as usual on weekends, and she came to me with tears in her eyes. When I saw her, I was scared something terrible had happened to her. But when she told me she was pregnant, I was over the moon. I wasn't expecting to hear that from her anytime soon. Even though I didn't say it to her, I was partially scared that she would lose the baby again. But when she told me her pregnancy was over 8 weeks old, I was on cloud 9. Funnily enough, she didn't even know she was pregnant. She said she had been feeling different and decided to do a test. Her periods were late, but she thought it was due to her hormonal issues. There were no signs of morning sickness, and her pregnancy took us by surprise. Later that same week, we went to see the doctor to find out how we would prevent her from losing the pregnancy, and she was advised to not stress herself. Hearing that, I knew I had to step up my game in caring for Emily. I did literally everything I could to make her comfortable. I didn't want anything to cause another miscarriage. Most importantly, I didn't want her to go through that pain again. Meanwhile, after we scanned and found out that she was giving birth to a boy, I was so excited to finally become a father. There's no particular reason, but I always wanted a son first and then a daughter. After the scan, I started shopping for the baby things we'd need. Every day, I woke up praying for the safety of Emily and our baby. I was also excited to watch the baby grow in Emily's stomach. I used to spend hours leaning on her baby bump, talking to the baby. Every bit of the moment felt magical to me. In her 3rd month, Emily said that she wanted to take a break from work so that she could focus on her health and the baby. I didn't see any problem in supporting her financially. I was in fact glad that she was so serious about her health and the baby. Fast forward to the 6th month of the pregnancy, something happened that changed everything for us. One evening after dinner, Emily was so exhausted that she dozed off on the couch. I couldn't take her to our room, so I got blankets for her and ensured she slept comfortably. Her phone was on the table with the rest of the cups and plates we used for dinner. As I was trying to clear the table, her phone chimed. I didn't pay attention or look at her screen when the first notification came in, but when I returned from the kitchen and the messages kept coming in, I thought to silence the notifications because it might disturb Emily's sleep. While trying to silence her phone, the messages kept coming on WhatsApp and Instagram. I got curious. Her phone had a fingerprint lock, so I accessed it with her fingerprints to see who had been repeatedly texting her. On accessing her phone, I saw that it was a contact she had saved with a single love emoji that kept texting her. I was curious to know who it was, and my heart sank when I opened the messages sent to her. From their conversation, I figured she was talking to a man who kept asking her, "How is my baby doing today?" and other questions related to her health and her pregnancy. I had to read her messages over and over to understand if he was a doctor. After digging enough, I found out he wasn't. At the same time I was going through her Instagram, the same man sent her a message on Instagram, and he even had a picture of his private part. I wouldn't have known they were communicating on Instagram if he didn't send that message. It was through their Instagram chat that I found out Emily had been cheating on me. I wanted to know who her affair partner was and what she saw in him that led her to cheat on me. When I went through his Instagram profile, I found out he was a scientist. I could not even believe it. It took me the whole night to realize that I wasn't dreaming. The most heartbreaking part was that I had been trying to take care of another man's child. I had been working my butt out to ensure he would be born into a comfortable home. That night, I picked up a few clothes and drove to my friend's house to spend the night. I could not stand Emily after realizing she had been playing me all along. To even think that her affair partner knew she was married to me. He'd occasionally ask her if I was taking good care of her and the baby, and she'd say something like, "Yeah, he's trying." Merely seeing that she said I was trying really pissed me off. I took over the full responsibility of the house, cared for her, cooked her favorite meals at weird hours of the night, massaged her neck and feet, and even dealt with her stupid mood swings. I was really shattered when I read that. It was very evil of her to cheat on me with another man, and then she lied to me about being the child's father. Around 3 in the morning, when Emily woke up and I wasn't at home, she called to ask why I wasn't at home by that time. I replied to her coldly that I'd come to the automobile shop to take care of some unfinished business. I told her I would return home later in the morning, but I didn't. I didn't go home for 4 days, and she began to panic when she kept calling. But I didn't take her call. She went to the automobile shop where I worked, and I told her I asked to take the whole week off to sort out some family issues. During those 4 days of staying away from home, I opened a fake Instagram account, to do more findings about Emily's affair partner. I learned that he had been a scientist for years and even won a prestigious award. On the second day of my digging, I found that he was married to a woman who was a psychologist, and they had 2 kids together. Upon digging deeper, I got his wife's information. I reached out to her on Instagram. I didn't beat around the bush. I told her that her husband was having an affair with my wife and sent her the evidence. One more thing, when I saw all those chats on Emily's phone, I took pictures of them, so I attached them as evidence. She replied on the next day to set up a meeting for us, and I met her on the 4th day, the day I returned home to Emily. When we met, she kept saying she couldn't believe her husband was cheating on her, and I assured her he was. She even looked at the pictures of their conversation I had taken, and she was so heartbroken. She nearly passed out when I told her my wife was pregnant with her husband. So after our meeting, she said she would confront her husband, and I told her I would do the same. I couldn't even pretend that I was not hurt because I was. I returned home that evening after 4 days of being away, and when Emily saw me, she ran to me. Immediately, I stepped into the sitting room. I told her I wanted to do a paternity test for the baby, and she was shocked. She asked why I suddenly wanted to do a paternity test, and I told her I wanted to be sure the baby was mine. As soon as I answered, she laughed and said I was being ridiculous and that she wouldn't do any paternity tests because the baby was mine. I knew she was trying to be manipulative. If I didn't know the truth, her acting would have forced me to believe I was the father of her child. That day, I raised my voice at her for the first time in years. She was shocked to see me react like that. The next thing I knew, she started crying and said I was accusing her of cheating on me and that she couldn't believe I would do such a thing after everything we had been through. I watched her as she cried and did her emotional blackmail thing, and when she was done with her manipulations, I insisted that I wanted a paternity test despite anything she condemned me of. I had printed out the photocopies of the pictures I had taken of her chat conversations. I threw those pictures on her face. She was shocked to see that I had found out her truth. After a moment of silence, she said that she was just flirting with the man and nothing physical had happened between them. Her reasons were so dumb that I didn't feel like arguing with her. I told her that any man referring to her baby as his baby is no joke. Hence, I need to see the paternity reports. After arguing for hours, she finally agreed to do the paternity test. Eventually, we did the paternity test, and when the results came out, it confirmed that the baby wasn't mine. By this time, Emily knew it was useless for her to keep pretending, so she started asking me for forgiveness. She lied that she got pregnant through a sperm donor and did not know who was the father of the child. I knew she was lying but was too angry and tired to confront her, so I left her in the hospital. I went back home and packed most of the things I needed. I was still packing some things when she came home and tried to stop me. At that moment, I was at my peak anger and I could have done something unregrettable, so I left the house. No matter how I try to explain how let down and heartbroken I was, I don't think any amount of words can express how I felt. While I was leaving the house, Emily became dramatic and started calling me names. Despite all she did to make me stay, I left the house and we didn't communicate for another week. She called me every day and sent different voicemails of her crying, shouting, and begging. It was almost like she had multiple personalities. Just 2 days ago, her parents called and rained abuse on me. They called me a deadbeat father and said I was the worst father any child could ever have. Honestly, I was in no mood for drama, so I wanted to quietly divorce Emily without telling anyone about her infidelity. But knowing that she had cheated on me and scattered everything with her hands, she still reported me to her parents, friends, and everyone who listened to her lies. I can't stand any other person calling me to say rubbish when I know so well that Emily is the one they should all be calling names. Her parents have threatened with dire consequences if anything happened to their daughter or unborn child. Even though the child is not mine, it's still a living being. I don't want that unborn to suffer, so I'm just keeping quiet until she delivers. Whoa, I'm so sorry, OP. That's really heavy. I think spending some time away from her when you did was a smart move. Like you said, I think it would have been hard not to do something you would have regretted. What on earth was she thinking? So she was going to have the baby and then raise this baby, pretending that you were the father, all while seeing another man behind your back the entire time. How long has she been seeing this guy? What if the other babies weren't yours either? Gosh, how heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. Her parents are delusional, just like her. They're so desperate for a baby they don't care where it came from. You are not responsible for whatever choices your wife made. If anything happens to the baby, it's on her, not you. Update 1. Hello everyone. Thank you for your comments. Somebody here said something when I mentioned in my post that I wanted to divorce Emily without any fuss. I wasn't joking when I said that. If you know what I have been through since Emily's miscarriage, you will understand why I said I didn't want any more drama. I've had enough marital problems for one marriage. It even gets crazier when I wonder if Emily had been cheating on me from the first year of our marriage. Some of you said marrying Emily in a year was too fast. I believed I had known her since childhood, hence dating for a year never seemed less. Anyways, that's all in the past now. Last week I made a public post on Facebook that insinuated that Emily had broken my heart and scattered everything we had planned, and a Facebook friend of Emily reached out to me after that. Some of Emily's friends and colleagues are added to my Facebook. You know how social media works. He was a fellow teacher in Emily's school, and he said there was something he needed to tell me about Emily. I agreed to meet up with him, and he told me that Emily had been having an affair with some of the fathers of her students. I didn't believe him when he told me until he showed me a very short video he had secretly recorded a long time ago. According to him, Emily had a thing for fathers of intelligent kids in her class, and it was almost like she was throwing herself at them. He claimed he was telling me because he wanted to help me dodge a bullet. In addition, he said the school was aware of Emily's terrible acts, which was why she was fired from the school just after her pregnancy. I was so surprised when he told me that Emily was fired months before she told me she had quit. It meant that the whole time I struggled to care for Emily while neglecting myself, she had been cheating on me. It had been the only explanation because her income did not change or drop. Every morning she would dress up to work and return around her usual time by noon. She'd even come home to tell me how much fun she had in class with the lies. It would be an understatement if I said I felt used by Emily. I had never been lied to, used, or manipulated like that by anyone. After everything I heard, I knew it was over between Emily and me. Hearing all those things stirred up a wave of anger in me I didn't even know I had in me. Meanwhile, I contacted a lawyer to process our divorce papers. After we divorce, I'm not sure what I'll do next. Anyway, I'll make another update as soon as I'm done with Emily and all her drama. I look forward to your comments on this. Yes, that leaving work thing because she actually got fired makes sense now. And this guy told you a few months too late. Sorry, OP. Seems this bullet didn't dodge you after all. I'm sorry she used you like this, OP update too. Hello everyone, thank you so much for your words of encouragement. Like you all said, if I'd take Emily back, I'd be shooting myself in the leg. I no longer love her and I feel no pity for her. If she could do such a terrible thing to me while I worked as hard as possible to be a good and supportive husband to her and the child I believed was mine, she could kill me on my sleep. I'm not exaggerating. A woman like Emily is capable of anything. So I finally confronted her annoying parents who kept calling. In fact, I dropped the pictures of the conversations between her and her affair partner on their WhatsApp family group chat, and then I dropped a long voice note to explain everything to them in case anyone had reading issues. I dropped the pictures on the group chat before I confronted Emily for the last time. I told her I knew she had been sleeping with me with multiple men, and the father of the child she was carrying was a scientist. The expression on her face showed that she wasn't expecting me to say that. She had already become lean because of a few days of crying, thinking, and begging me to talk to her. I thought she would continue begging me, but she already knew her pretense time was over. She became defensive and admitted that she was having an affair with the scientist. She even boldly told me she did it because she wanted good genes for her baby, not my weak and dumb genes. I never believed she would say that to me, but she did anyway. She didn't know that I had contacted her affair partner through his wife and told him I found out Emily was a serial cheat. I knew that Emily didn't show any remorse when she admitted to having an affair with him because she expected that his child support would come heavy. Unfortunately for her, because her affair partner wanted to fix things with his wife, he also insisted on a paternity test. When the results came out, it turned out he wasn't the father of the child either. Emily slept with multiple partners during that time. Me, a scientist guy, and 2 other men, the father of her school kids. Hence, she could not tell who the father of her baby was. 2 weeks later, after her affair partner found out he wasn't the father, My lawyer sent her the divorce papers, which she refused to sign at first. She said I had ruined her life, and because of that, I had to stick with her. Very funny. On the other hand, when her parents found out she didn't know who the father of her child was, they disowned her in shame. Eventually, she signed the divorce papers and we are no longer together. She tried to play a smart one on me and lost everything, including her family. Now she'll have to raise that baby on her own. I wish her luck in finding the baby's father. Thanks everyone who gave me the idea of contacting her affair partner in my last update. Thank you all. Oh, you ruined her life? Wow, the audacity. At least she'll have the baby she always wanted. But at what cost? Just meant she had to lose everything else. What do you think? Next up, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Cheated on after a 4-year relationship. I'll start with some context. My girlfriend, 24 female, and I, 24 male, have been together for more than 4 years at this point. When we got together, she was still recovering from a very abusive relationship, mentally and physically. She had a year prior and I helped her recover through that. She became extremely attached to me and I to her, and the thought of her cheating on me seemed impossible. Throughout our relationship, we have talked a bunch of times about cheating in relationships, and we both agreed that it cannot solve any problems, and communication should be the solution, always. And I believe that from her, as she didn't show any interest in other boys anytime while I was with her. In the last year, she had become somewhat more distant and started doing things that I didn't know she was into. Perhaps she didn't either. Mainly, she started to go to clubs with her best friend, saying that she wants to dance. I told her, and she knew that that kind of fun just isn't my thing, and I didn't want to go there just to be her bodyguard. At first, I didn't think too much of it, as I believed she or her friend would handle any situation that might appear with guys flirting with her. But after a couple of weeks, while we were looking at something on her phone, she received a message from someone named Chris, I think. Name change for privacy reasons. The I think part seemed off to me, and I asked her about it. Apparently, some rando guy told her she looks nice and asked for her number, and she gave it to him. Her excuse was that she was drunk. That is when I started to become more suspicious regarding her. I confronted her about this as I thought she just went there to dance with her friends. Foolish, I know, but that was how much I trusted her back then. The result was a huge fight in which she snapped that I was too jealous and controlling about this. My argument was that she has no volition when she gets drunk, and neither she or her friend would do anything if a couple guys would get them drunk or drug them and take them or whatever. We somewhat recovered from that fight in the months that followed, but I still felt some resentment from her regarding that. She also started saying that I am judging her whenever she would tell me something more sensitive. Around this time, I also started looking in secret at her messages. She continued talking with that guy, but it wasn't anything to worry about, mostly idle talk coming from him every couple of weeks or so. Fast forward to a few days ago, it was a long time since I looked through her messages. I thought the relationship was going pretty good. I was investing time and effort into it continually. She still seemed kind of distant, but in her words, she was just stressed and tired from university classes and work. I believe that, as I am also stressed and tired from that, but I guess everyone has different thresholds. I, however, thought one night while she was sleeping to look through her messages to see what is up. One of the latest chats was with that Chris, I think, guy from the previous night when I thought she went to bed early. At 3 a.m., she was sending him pictures of her in the club, saying she was drunk. I was furious, but I didn't tell her anything at that moment. I started looking for other chats, and there it was. Some random guy, again with a strange name, can't remember it. Their conversations seemed a bit on the intimate side, no sexting or anything, but not that far. So I went to the beginning of the conversation with him. 3 months ago, he got her number after meeting her on the street. A few days after, she told him out of the blue to not tell anyone about what they are doing in bed. Suffice to say, that was the moment I snapped. I woke her up, asked her if she would tell me if she cheated. She said, yes, of course. A few moments of silence, and she asked where her phone was. I handed it to her, and she soared off of the room on her own. Since then, she had told me what happened. She got extremely drunk that night with her friend at her place. She was sad at that period about our relationship, that she believed she could not talk to me, and that I don't give her enough time, although I have always given her time every time I could. If she had told me it was this bad for her, I would have given her even more. So she went off on a walk alone that night and texted that guy. She then went to his place, kissed him, embraced him, and slept in his arms. Or at least, that is what she told me. She is desperately trying now to get back with me, saying she loves me and it will never happen again, that she will try to get therapy and work on our relationship, fixing all that is broken. I am very close to believing her, but my heart is still broken. I do not know if I could continue our relationship with her, especially knowing that we were ramping up for living together, marriage and this stuff, while she was hiding this from me. What should I do? Is what she did that bad that it warrants no second chances? Should I walk on my ego and accept her back? Ask advice from the community. You are going to get some responses. First up, you are 24, you move on. She has shown you who she is. She has lied to you. Also, she asked the other person to lie. What she is doing is out of the cheater's handbook. Tell as little as possible. Did she do what she said? Sure, but she left out that she was naked, had sex in the bed, and showered with him in the morning. When you find out a little more, she will add to the story. It's called Trickle Truth. You need to end it and move on. Pick a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. It will help you establish boundaries. It will help you with all the relationships, work, family, romantic, and where to draw the line and how to not let red flags go on. Another person offers this. Don't forget, what she did only shows the kind of love and respect she has for you. When you love someone, you don't do that to him or her, period. She was cheated on, and to thank you for your help, presence, and time, call it whatever you want. Since she doesn't seem to take it as a relationship, she cheated on you. Seems like she and her ex deserved each other in the end. What could have made a strong relationship if not what you did to her? You were there for her and her. She went clubbing like a single teenager. In most cases, cheaters tend to minimize their actions. This happened more times than you know. What happens in the club stays in the club. But let's not speculate. She even asked him to not tell anyone about their night and continued talking with him. Oh, come on, you're not that desperate. You know you didn't deserve this, and you know what you need to do. Don't wait for another backstab. Don't forget the obvious. Get tested whether she says it was protected sex or not. Good luck. There's an update in the comment section. I want to thank you for all your advice and support. I have decided to cut off any relation with her, as I wouldn't want to live with fear and this trauma alongside her. I just hope that it gets easier from here. Yeah, OP, I think your decision to cut things off is wise. Of course she'd continue to cheat on you. You've given her the benefit of the doubt far too many times, and she manipulated the fact that you kissed the ground she walked on. Not anymore. Definitely no more Mr. Nice Guy. As we've witnessed in this heartbreaking story, love alone is not always enough to sustain a relationship. The truth, honesty, and trust are the essential foundations for building something lasting. When these elements are violated, the consequences are often deep wounds, sometimes impossible to heal. The story of this husband is a poignant reminder of the value of sincerity in relationships. Emily may have had her reasons, but her actions and words rendered everything meaningless. The husband, despite his pain, made the decision to step away from this marriage to reclaim his peace. We cannot change the past, but we can certainly learn from the mistakes of others to avoid falling into the same traps. If you've also experienced tough moments in life or love, remember that you are not alone. Every story carries its own lesson, and we can always rise after every fall. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel so you never miss another fascinating story. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know how you feel. We look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thank you for watching, and always remember, no matter how tough life gets, we can always rise above it.